G'day guys, welcome back to Supercoach with DR and welcome to the Around 17 stock market video. Hope you've had a cracker of a week so far. Now I do need to open up with a couple of apologies here. I didn't get up for the swordplay potty this week, but Spills and Janeth did a magnificent job. Thank you very much, boys. And this is very late as well, I understand, and it's a lot shorter this week. I decided to do something a little bit different because the voice just couldn't handle an hour-long video, so I thought for this week, I'd focus purely on the pods of the competition. So when we're talking pods here, I've looked at the top 5% of coaches. So all of the blokes that we see in today's video are going to be selected in under 10% of the top 5% sides in Supercoach. I've also got a couple of value picks that we'll talk about, a couple of the blokes from Carlton as well, but this video will be a lot shorter this week and we'll be mainly focusing on those 500k plus options. We've got a few blokes this week that should provide good cover. I really like Dev Rob to come in place of Josh Dunkley. This is not trade him in, but if you already own someone like a Dev Rob, he should get more of a midfield role. Hopefully look to step up like he did in the last quarter when Dunkley was subbed out. You've got your Sheldricks of the world who have been absolutely smashing it. So you've probably already, hopefully, anyway, fingers crossed, got some cover that you can use for this week. We're going to focus more on those blokes that you're going to look to finalise your side with, along with a couple of value picks that have DPP as well. Now, apologies again for the voice. I've obviously got the flu, as you can probably see and hear, but I'll just do my best to get through around a 20-minute video for the stocky this week. Hopefully it will be uploaded with a few hours left so you can check it out before making any of your final decisions. So thanks again for all the support, guys. Much love. Hope that you're well. Let's see who's sitting at the top of the list for the 500k pod defenders. Alrighty, we've got 5 blokes here, and remember the criteria is that they must be owned in under 10% of sides. And the bloke up the top isn't even available this week, and that's the Sis Dog, obviously missing this week, and then available to play again. Holders are looking forward to getting through just this one more round, then enjoying the benefits of hopefully a 125 plus average, currently in under 10% of these top 5 sides. That means he's a pod that could rocket you into league finals, and a huge advantage for those that may be running a Day, Sheasel, or say Himmelberg type in his place. So one more week, and then the Sis Doggy's back. The Doc been really consistent after he came back from injury in round 7. Also, when I traded him out, although his lowest 3-round average here, what is that? 99. I still think he's going to be one of the best, but not really in that top 4 to 5 type range. I think he may have claims to that 6 to 8 mark. You know, no CBAs in the last couple of weeks, no kick-ins, still managed a 111, a 108. Both of those are in wins though. So all in all, I think he'll be a solid type of selection, I think. Houston, we all know what he did last week, and wow, that kick was just amazing, wasn't it? Kudos to the man, because he's been a burn man of my past, and I just simply can't deny him anymore, because he's had a phenomenal stretch of form. Apart from the minor blimp in round 13 against the Dogs, since round 7, he's only gone under 100 twice, and there's a couple of monsters in his 3-round average. So since round 7, 110, 122, 81, 128, 114, 112, that low score of 47 against the Dogs, and then 2 huge bounce-back games, 146 and a 156 last week. Has 5 more games at Adelaide Oval. Doesn't face too many tough opponents. Great kick-to-handball ratio. Generally used it well, and that booming kick on him actually just get poured out of trouble, can't it? Got a really friendly role, so if you're looking for a pod defender in red-hot form to take you through for the rest of the year, I think that Dan is your man. Dale, I've got the safe as houses pick on. Keep in mind, this is safe for a pod, you know, because generally pods aren't seen as safe picks. You're going away from the crowd here. He's a player that won't really win your games or lose your games. Just seems safe for, 100 to 105 average. Recent scores, 87, 141. Nice ceiling game, 108, 116, 89, 95, and 121 last week. So some nice games in there. No real floor type scores, just that 87, 89 being the lower type ones. We've also seen a big one in there. So for me, I think those sort of scores average each other out. Really safe pick, I think, is Dale. And Vlostone there, by far the biggest pot of this bunch. At time of recording, he's in only 2 of the top 5% of sides. Only 2 coaches have the faith. A player with a decent floor, but we've only really seen the one ceiling game that was in round 13 against Freo, excuse me, with a 141. There's nothing that really appeals to me with this pick, and I'd prefer pretty much any of the other options on this board. On to the big boys in the mids, and I've introduced a new symbol this week, and that's the Average Joe symbol, inspired by the great dodgeball. And it's for those players who I just don't think are very sexy selections. They certainly get the job done, but may lack a little bit of X factor or maybe excitement to their game. And I think it's a perfect fit for Tommy Mitchell. A 103 average on the season and a 3-rounder of 101 is what I would expect from here on. Rarely also has the Average Joe symbol there. A 3-rounder under 85 doesn't fill me with great confidence, especially with a much anticipated return of Took the trademark Miller. Again, just a decent sort of selection though. Parrish I do like, aside from his durability. Can be a frustrating own when you see him rack up 35 and get a low 100 score, but Essendon have a great Supercoach finals fixture and he could provide a great point of difference. Zeret usually attracts a tag, so if you trust his body, it could be worth the shout. Definitely safer options though. A 91 and a 131 on his return is solid. I've got the fire symbol there for his 131, but the worried symbol due to durability. Now, it was really hard to do this. As you know, I love Jack the Man of Steel. Don't love him lately though, but I've had to confiscate the cape off Jack because he's full of kryptonite at the moment. So the Man of Steel cape has now been passed on to Brad Crouch. He's the only St Kilda mid deserving of it. Nothing against Jack Sinclair, but we need a man like Steele of 2021 to do the dirty work, get in and under. Crouch has laid 27 tackles in the last 2 weeks. Compare that to Sinclair, and he's laid 27 tackles since round 7. Again, they're different players. I'm not having a crack at Sinclair, but it's just to give context as to why the cape does go to Brad. He scored 100 plus for the last 5 weeks, 104, 123, 106, 102 and 134 last week. So I think go there if you want. He should be pretty consistent. Parker, I think, is an extremely safe pick for a pod. We recommended him a while back now, so he did present real value, but I still like the pick at this price. I see Sarong as better value, and I'd definitely look to go there first, but if you already got players like him, I couldn't go wrong with Parker, I don't think. Since round 6, he's gone 104, 116, 103, 101, 136, 77, 145, 134, and a 103. So very hard to deny as a pod selection. Chera, Supercoach scoring has been out of this world since round 5, and a pod with only 2 failures during that time. And when I say failures, those scores were 79 against the Tough Dogs midfield and a 96 against the Swans. All other scores have been above 100, and every score in the last month has been captainable. Since round 5, apart from those 2 low scores I mentioned, he's gone to 106, 144, 134, 132, great stretch there, 108, then a 129, 132, 127, and a 130 last week. Coming up against his old mob this week in Freo, not sure how he'll go about it. Different players handle it differently, but I do have the 8-ball symbol on him because at the moment, he does have claims to finish as a top 8 midfielder. I don't think anyone saw this coming, but a massive shout out to the bloke. Something just doesn't seem right selecting him at this price, but his scorecard, well, that would suggest otherwise. Jelly, I just couldn't go near. His injury history still haunts me like many others. Massive goal last week to win the Giants game. It's an example of his amazing skills and elite quality, but like Parrish, I've got the file symbol there, mainly for his ceiling and ability, but the worried symbol, again, due to that durability. Jordan De Goey, now the symbol is harsh, but we need to be careful of applying the NDHP policy when making our final selections and being low on trades. If you can trust Jordan to behave, then it could be a decent pot on return, but he did the dirty job on Janeth, which was cruel, so I'm not advocating him as a pick. He can get stuffed. Huey went bang last week with a huge game, 157. Everything he touched turned to gold. Elite delivery inside 50, which I know is something that he prides himself on. With no Dunkley for at least this week, potentially the next, it's time for this man to take over the midfield with Lockie and Ashy, and there is no better opponent to nail a massive score on than West Coast at the Gabba. The issue is Huey's floor. It's very low, so don't be surprised to get some stinkers mixed in with hopefully a few decent scores. I'd hate to rely on him. Yeah, I just couldn't recommend him because I just wouldn't like to rely on him each week on field. And Jack Biney, look, with Piggy out for who knows how long for, he's going to be the main man along with Track. He'll be very keen to turn the D's fortunes around, so I've just got a bit of a gut feel that we could see some decent upcoming scores. Had a 156, 76 and 127 in his last three. For me, he seems a little safer than Klug, but has thrown in scores of, say, 54, 59 in rounds 10 and 11. So again, you get the good, the bad, and the ugly with these types of picks. On to the forwards, and up the top we've got the helmet. He's costing us an arm and a leg these days with a price tag of 600k plus, and that's probably the real thing that puts me off, as we can select mids like Sarong for 40k less. He could certainly lay claims to be top 6 in either our forward line or defence, which is an added bonus, so he can swing with Loops and the Sheaves of the world when needed. Only the 77 last week, which was his first failure since round 10. He's been really consistent, also shown his ceiling on a couple of occasions with a 144 and a 169, so scores like that at 1.5% ownership can move you rapidly up the ranks, when others like myself have a cogs punching out, mid-80s to mid-90s. Nick Martin, he's been a real surprise packet this year. Had a poor game last week, but was coming off a massive run. Scores of 120, 129, 139 and 124. Come Supercoach finals, he could be a massive game winner, as he opens up with West Coast and North, who he's already gone 120 plus against this year. You're paying a bit of a premium price, but he has delivered premium numbers. The issue is, can he keep it up? My favourite pick of the board, though. Toby lacks consistency when it comes to Supercoach scoring. 70, 121, 83, 119, 69. The cheapest out of the lot, plays Hawthorn and Gold Coast in his next three, which could be friendly. But look, I do have the average Joe sign there, which is a little bit contradictive, because he certainly's got a lot of X factor, but there just doesn't seem to be, I suppose, any real upside to the pick. That's why I've got the average Joe there. Tex seems to go on some nice runs during seasons, doesn't he? We've seen it before. All over the shop, though, consistency-wise in the last month. 51, bang, 208, 117, and a 71 last week. Fixture is very important when looking at key forwards. Has a bit of an up and down run, but guess who he's got in round 24, our grand final? Yep, the Eagles, where he scored a 200 plus. So, hey, maybe worth a shout in the last week if you've got to trade up your sleeve. Maybe use him as a loop. He and the next bloke on the list, though, both got roller coaster symbols on them. And that's Shea, from the heights of 151 in round 13 to lows of 56 and 63 in 14 and 16. I just couldn't do it myself, as this game is already stressful enough. And we'll finish off with some quick DPP cover under 200k. Now, I do have two blokes on the list here, and I'm going to let Janeth actually take you through these two options with spills. I've got the Swordplay Poddy symbol there in the notes section, because I'm going to give you a little snippet of what the boys were talking about this week in regards to these two blokes. But you've got a few other options here. You've got Jack Williams, who's a ruck forward, 123,900, scored the 51 last week for a 2-round average of 36. So if he gets a game, you could possibly go there. You got Chesser, 45 points, if you don't mind, last week from the young man, 152,000 defensive mid option. Lockie McNeil from the Dogs, a mid forward, 158,900 with the 33 last week. Poor old Angwin, only the 10 points. He's 165,600, so certainly not looking to go there. So really, if you're looking to get anyone in this week, apart from maybe a couple of the Richmond boys who are debuting, possibly a Cooper Harvey type, these are the two options that you've got to look at. So let's get onto the Swordplay Poddy. Here's a quick snippet from Jonathan Spills on Tuesday night.
Lachlan Fogarty is 160. Sorry, let me just bring it up. I had it up before. Lockie Fogarty is a Carlton forward, 167.4k mid forward. He scored 90 odd against Hawthorn, 99. He's got a really he's a high half forward. He's playing the role of if Carlton if you guys don't watch Carlton games, playing as sort of a high half forward that floats up to the front of stoppage as sort of a linking player between our forward line and the midfield. he's got a good role, and he's definitely best 22 in my opinion, just because since him and Cunningham come into the team, we won both of our games by 10 goals. Now, yes, they were against Gold Coast and Hawthorn, both at the MCG, but still, they both provide something which we were lacking, especially with some of the disappointed form of Jesse Motlop, Corey Durden, when they were both in the team. Sack Fisher, they weren't really doing much in terms of forward pressure. But I think if you want security and you're looking for a player that you know should play every game from here on in, that's Lockie Fogarty. But if you're looking for more of an upside pick, David Cunningham at 163k, he's got one N. If you guys were to search for him, 163.8k. He's very highly touted in Carlton circles. Drafted in 2015, but he's just had an injury-ravaged career so far.
Oh, he's been so injury prone, hasn't he?
He couldn't put games together. So when he played in 2021, he put together 67, 78, and 93 before getting injured again. So we really do rate him. And if you guys were to watch that Hawthorn game on the weekend, he was probably best on ground in the first half. He was everywhere. He was on 60-odd Supercoach points, had a couple of goals himself, set up a couple of goals. So I think he's one of those players where if you're looking for like upside this week as cover, he's your man. They both got good job security, don't get me wrong, but I just can trust Lockie Fogarty that he should play every game of the year from here on out if he doesn't get injured, just because the lower risk of injury with him compared to a Cunningham type. Spills, you're happy with that?
Yeah, they both seem basically splitting hairs for me. Very similar price, similar sort of ceiling, role, etc. Gee, Cunningham, he's been around a long time. I've seen him play one elite game in my time, and it was against my Bombers in 2020. This bloke just come out of nowhere, carved it up, and hasn't been the same.
That was the game. That
was
an awesome game.
So that's it for now, guys. Again, apologies for the quality of this video. It's just the best that I could do for this week. Hopefully, I'll be a lot healthier and back to usual next week. So all the best of luck, guys. Hope everything goes well, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, bye.